And off we go. So this is a sketch of Eilean Donan Castle on the west coast of Scotland. It's quite easy to find a royalty-free image. I got this one from Pixabay because it's such a popular spot for a photograph. There's loads of pictures online that you can use for your art. So as usual, I'm just sketching this using the DaVinci Eye app. Okay, so we're going to paint the sky and the water all in one go. We're going to need a fair bit of paint to do it, and I've loaded my palette up with Payne's Grey, Ultramarine Blue and a tiny bit of Lunar Blue, which is the blue that's just got a bit of black in it, and it granulates quite well, so you don't have to have that paint. I just happen to have a little bit of it, so I've used it. And we're going to be painting quite a moody sky, and we want that sky to be reflected in the water, so hence why we're doing so much painting right at the start. The best way to do this is wet in wet, as you'll see as we go through. As soon as the paint's down, then it really is just a matter of minding the paint so we don't get any harsh edges or sharp edges, and getting the right tones in the sky, because I want the light in this picture to come from the left. I'm being careful to paint around the island and the castle, because the castle is it's a grey colour, but it's quite a warm grey. It's stone colour in some bits. They're actually quite dark, and I didn't want the sky getting in the way, but I do need the sky close up to the roof line and the shoreline of the island, so we've not got any distracting white bits. So like I say, once the paint's down, it's a matter of I guess designing your sky, just lifting off some paint where you don't want it, and adding it where you do. And while the paper's wet, that's fine, because you can manage any back runs or anything that you don't want to stay on the paper. Now the final bit before I let this dry is I'm just going to lift some paint off in what will be the sea area, just to give an impression that actually this bit is flat. We're treating the surface of the water like a surface, and you would expect a few ripples, but I'm painting this with a view that actually that water is quite calm, so we've got a good reflection of the castle when we get to the end of it. Okay, let's get on with painting the background. There's very little background here actually. There's a couple of distant hills which I'm going to paint in using the blue mix that I've got in my palette already. They really do need to be painted in lightly. I don't want them being brought forward in the painting, because the castle is the subject, not the hills beyond. So onto the castle itself, I'm using some of the blue mix that I've got in the palette and adding burnt umber to it, and I'm going to make a warm grey. Now I'm just going to test that against the blue that I've got on my test strip, because I want to make sure I've got the right contrast between the castle and the sky.
catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire.
Now I'm painting this with the light coming from the left hand side, so the gable ends of the buildings in the castle are going to be darker, and there's also going to be a variation in tone between some of the buildings because there's a bit of distance between the front building and the building behind, and there's also a slight colour shift in the masonry work itself in the picture that I've got for reference. So I'm just varying the tone in the palette, adding and subtracting blue or adding brown, just to balance that off, and I'll get that variation in tone because the building is not just one colour. It's quite a different set of tones that are bringing the whole thing together.
Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire. Never the same. Whenever you're calling my name, I'm taking my sweet time. Hey, whatever the plan, I know I'm holding the best of me out of my hand. I know you always understand. Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire.
Okay, so let's let the castle dry and we can deal with the shore and the bit of grass that leads up to the castle wall. Now in my palette I'm using a mix of yellow ochre and raw sienna for the tide line, I guess it is, where seaweed is exposed on the shore, but there is actually a grass bank that leads down to the water's edge. So what I've added to my palette is just a bit of sap green, and I'm stretching that sap green either with yellow or blue just to give me a variation in tone.
Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire. Never the same. Never you calling my name, I'm taking my sweet time. Hey, whatever the plan, I know I'm holding the best of me out of my head. I know you always understand. Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you.
Now on the island itself there is a distinct tide line, quite a dark line that separates the grass from the seaweed, and that's useful because it gives me an anchor point to think about whereabouts I'm going to extend the reflection of the grass bank into the water. So I'm now just fleshing that out a bit and thinking about how far I want to push down some tone into the water to give me that first cut of the reflections that I'm going to paint in. One thing I noticed while I was painting this was the paint for the distant hill had sort of bled into the water at the back of the castle. So I just went in, re-wet it, and lifted out some of that colour to give me a lighter area. So I've got a distinct difference between the foreshore on the island and the distant hill.
Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire.
Okay, so while I'm painting the building, I'm thinking to myself, how do I want to add its reflection in the water? And I've decided that I'm going to do that wet in wet, and there's a couple of reasons for it. I want the paint to move. I'm going to exaggerate the reflection in the water, and I know that means that we're going to be re-wetting an already painted area, but don't worry if you've not done this before, because it's okay to do as long as you don't disturb the paint that's already down. And when I say that, I mean aggressively brushing over the top of it. Now I'm just choosing a tone for the reflection. What I want is a darker but warmer grey. I don't want to just use Payne's grey, it would be too blue. And with a bit of that wash, I'm using my big brush to wet the area that I want the shadow and the reflection to go into. Now, because I'm using a soft brush, I'm not disturbing the paint underneath where I'm painting. I actually want this wash to be quite transparent, because you've got two things going off here. You've got the reflection of the sky, and you've also got the reflection of the building. and you want to keep elements of both. The surface of the water is a surface, and we should treat it as such. So when it comes to putting some definition for the water itself, having this bit of the painting wet is going to help us, because we definitely do want to disturb some of that underpainting to put in some ripples. Now what I'm going to do is just use a stiff bristled flat brush to lift out some of the paint, and I'm allowing that lifting to go right the way down to the original wash that we did for the water. And I'm also throwing some of the yellow tone back into the top of the reflection, because you would expect to see that in the water. I am being careful to make sure that the shape of the reflection matches the shape of the building above. But it's okay to lose some edges here, because we want that painterly feeling in the bottom of the picture, because we're dealing with a water surface, not the sky. Now it's coming together quite nicely. I think I need to add some more ripples in the water to give it that sense that it is water. So this is purely lift and wipe, using a damp brush, picking up some of the water that's gone down in the wet in wet wash, and then wiping it away on a tissue. Okay, on to the finishing touches. So I'm just going to drop in some darker shades, some dry brush work, a bit of Payne's grey, just to bring out the key smaller shapes that make up the building. Where I can get away with doing this with a brush, I will do, but for the finer points I will use a fine liner marker, just to pick up things like the small windows in the far building, and some of the edges to some of the brickwork and around the small turret that for some reason I seem to have lost in the painting, but I'm able to re-establish with the fine liner. So the final touches, just a couple of edges to do, and I think I'll call it quits with that. I'm very happy with it. So on goes the signature.
Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with